Hi, everybody. Welcome to Thrive Thursday Masterclass on June 20th, 2024. Today, we have the pleasure of having Melissa be our host today. So, Melissa is an intuitive body-mind health practitioner and trainer of NLP, timeline therapy, and hypnotherapy, and is dedicated to guiding individuals towards their best lives. Melissa hosts the impactful Don't Wait for Your Wake Up Call podcast, offering concise, practical advice for health and mindset, embodying her commitment to holistic well-being. Melissa is also the co-founder of Girls Matter. And today she's going to be talking about how to create a life of ease and flow for you and your clients. Welcome, Melissa.
Thank you so much. I'm very happy to be here. And hey, who wants to create a life of ease and flow for you and your clients? And I'm going to be sharing with you today that it's accessing your unconscious mind and the tools of our unconscious mind that allow us to do that. And before we even go there, I want to also ask you, who would like to love doing sales calls as much as you love some other part of your life, whether for you that's going to the spa, whether it's being out in nature, whether it's binging on Netflix? Think of your favorite thing to do, and would you love to do sales calls as much as that? Because we can rewire your neurology to help with that. What about helping your children love to do their homework as much as they love to play their video games? Would you like some help with that? Because we can rewire their neurology too. That's the great thing about our neurology, is that it can be rewired to achieve the results that we want. And today I'm going to be working with Jenny as well to show you how we can rewire neurology to remove a trigger food. You know, that food that you go to maybe when your emotions are kind of out of sorts and you're just going to have a little bit and you eat the whole bag or the whole box. We've all been there and done that. And you know what's not healthy for you, so you want to get rid of it? Well, willpower alone doesn't work. And I'm going to show you why. So I'm going to share some screens with you here, and feel free to ask questions as we go along because it's a small group. And anybody who's watching the recording of this, if you have questions afterwards, feel free to just message me directly or email me at melissa@yourguideathealthjourney.com. So I'm going to share this slide. Okay, I want to start there. Can you see my slides?
Yes.
So the first thing that I want to share with you is how to get into the learning state so that you can learn more easily. Are you interested in learning more easily? Every workshop, every webinar, every class you attend from now on, you can pop yourself into the learning state and learn more easily. We get so focused on our screens. And when we're that focused on our screens, we can't take in as much information. So to get into the learning state, first we simply ground down. So feel your feet on the floor. Just take a deep breath and allow yourself to ground down. And then I want you to, without moving your head, move your eyes up to look out as if you're looking up through your eyebrows. And bring your hands in front of your face. And as you do that, separate them out and allow your eyes to see as far as you can as your hands are moving back without moving your eyes. And notice how expansive that is, how much you've just opened up. And in this learning state, you're actually dropping into your parasympathetic nervous system, which means that in this state, it's biologically impossible for you to have and feel a negative emotion. Now, kids naturally will drop into this state. At school, it looks a little bit like they're daydreaming. And unfortunately, our teachers aren't trained in this, and they think the child's not paying attention. They go, "Hey, Johnny, pay attention." And they're actually snapping them out of their learning state, thinking that when they're in that foveal view and in their conscious mind, that they're learning. And in fact, this learning state is where we learn more easily because we're better able to absorb all of the information through all of our senses. So I just want to go around the room here and ask you, Ashley, what did you notice as you did that? Did you notice a sensation of any sort in your body?
It was kind of, I guess the word I would use is like settling,
Mm-hmm.
like relaxing almost, because um as I went out, I was not focusing so much on my hands, but just about like the feeling of opening up.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little hard to explain. I hope that makes sense.
It does, and it is hard to explain because I'm not asking you for a feeling. It is more of a sensation. And so now you can be aware of that. So the next time you do this, you get that same sensation, and you'll know, okay, I'm in my learning state. Stacy, what about you? What did you notice?
Um, it's expansiveness,
Mm-hmm.
expansion, kind of
Yeah,
like, because I meditate a lot, so it's kind of actually feels that centered, just centered space.
exactly. Exactly. And so then you know that it feels just like that. And the next time you're on a workshop, how easy is that to just pop yourself in? Ground, look up. You don't even have to move your hands. I just did that to show you. You can do it without anybody else on Zoom even knowing you're doing it, and just, you know, allow all of that in. And Jenny, what about you?
Yeah, I noticed I was really focused. There's no distractions. So it felt like not time stood still, but it was like all inclusive in a way. Does that make sense?
It does. And when you say time stood still, what came to me was just being fully present
Yeah.
without being only focused on such a narrow area.
Yeah.
Beautiful. So that's a little takeaway that you guys can start using from this point forth whenever you're on any kind of workshop or in a learning environment. The other thing that I want to share with you is that all learning, all behavior, and all change is unconscious. And so often we think we have to change things consciously. And the reality is that it's all in our unconscious mind that we affect change. And so that's why these tools that I'm sharing with you today are so powerful, because they are the tools of the unconscious mind. NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, timeline therapy, hypnotherapy. Now, hypnotherapy has been around since the beginning of time. Neuro-linguistic programming was developed in the 1980s. Timeline therapy only came out in the early 2000s as we learned more about our mind and our unconscious mind. So these are all new and not things that we've learned through our education system or through society. And so many of us are trying to create behavioral change using willpower. And we know that doesn't work. Look at New Year's resolutions. Every year, people make these New Year's resolutions. And I think it's like 87% of people have fallen off by the end of January. And then they think, I don't have enough willpower. And it's because it's not about willpower. They're using the wrong tool for the job. And it has to happen in this order. You have learning, you implement the behavior from the new learning, and that creates the change. So some people think I can just read a book and that'll be enough. Well, just reading the book isn't enough because there's no behavior that creates the change. So I ask you, are you on a shelf development program where you read the book and you put the book on the shelf and never touch it again? Or are you on a self-development program where, yes, there might be reading and learning, however, there's also the experiential, the behavior, the implementation, and that's what results in the change. And so all of the workshops that I teach combine both the learning, the academic, and the experiential, because it's the combination of these two that lead to the change and lead to the wisdom from that change. So let's talk about your unconscious mind. This picture is not to scale. The conscious mind makes up 10% of your mind, and the unconscious mind makes up the other 90%. We're all very familiar with our conscious mind. We know that it's our problem solving, logical thinking, goal setting mind. And it is the home of our mental body, our thinking body. Our unconscious mind, on the other hand, is the home of our emotional body. It's the home of our imagination. It's our goal getter. It has access to all of the resources that once that we set the goal in our conscious mind, we ask the unconscious mind to then go get the resources so that we can achieve that goal. Our unconscious mind also stores all of our memories. I think of it as like having a filing cabinet inside our head, and it stores them all in order without any kind of judgment. They just all get stored. It will repress memories of unresolved negative emotions. And it will then bring those repressed memories forward for the conscious mind to deal with when it feels it's safe to do so. Which is why military folk in war zones don't get PTSD in the war zone. At that point, they don't have the capacity to deal with all of that emotion. So it just all gets squashed down. And when they get home and they're back in safety, that's when the unconscious mind goes, okay, you're safe now. I'm going to bring up those memories that are connected to the unresolved negative emotion for you to now deal with it. Our unconscious mind is also responsible for preserving our body. It keeps us breathing every second of every day. It keeps our heart pumping every second of every day. It digests our food every time we put food in our mouth and takes all of those nutrients to our cells so that we can have the energy we need to thrive. So I believe our unconscious mind needs a lot more respect than what we've been giving it. The other point I want to make is that willpower is housed in the conscious mind. So when I was talking earlier about people are relying on willpower to create behavior change, they're accessing the 10%. Let's access the 90% and then use the willpower, the 10%, as the icing on top of the cake to create lasting, effective behavior change that's quick, because the unconscious mind, it's fast. It actually functions 2.5 seconds faster than the conscious mind, which is why if you touch something hot, your hand is off before you've even consciously thought that was hot. Now, we also have a critical faculty that is like a lace gateway between our conscious and our unconscious mind. And this develops when we're around 7 to 9 years old and we start to develop the ability to think logically. Prior to that, our children are entirely in their unconscious mind, which is why they have such belief in Santa Claus, and why when they're playing unicorns and pirates and fairy princesses, etc., they don't know the difference between reality and their game. It's all real to them. And they become more discerning when that critical faculty develops. Because it's a lace gateway, we want to be able to have good rapport between our conscious and our unconscious mind with a free flow of information between both. However, a muscle that isn't used gets wasted. This gateway not used becomes more cement-like, and we don't really have a connection to our unconscious mind. However, as we start to learn this, and we start to use the tools of the unconscious mind, we build that connection, and that cement wall becomes more like a lace gateway, because our mind, our body is incredibly forgiving. When we start doing what it wants us to do, it creates the pathways for us to be able to do that. So this next slide shows you how you are creating your own reality every single day. And the great news is, if you don't like your reality, we can change it. So let me explain this to you. Those external events on the right-hand side, that's representing everything that our senses, our 5 senses, are taking in, the information they're taking in from every single experience you've ever had in your life. And we take in 12 million bits per second of information every single day. That is a massive number, 12 million bits per second. I'd love you all to unmute and take a guess at how many bits per second we were taking in just 20 years ago. Go ahead, Jenny.
10 billion.
Okay. Ashley?
I'll go 8.
Okay,
8 billion.
Stacy?
What was the number now?
It's 12 million bits per second. And what was it 20 years ago?
Only get 5 billion.
Okay. And Carrie?
I'll say 15.
It was 2 million. So in
Wow.
20 years, we've gone up by 10 million bits per second because of our devices, right? We're constantly on our devices and taking in all of this information. Well, that is way too much for our mind, as powerful as it is, to be able to deal with. And so what it has to do is it has to compress all of that information down to a manageable amount. And so it will delete, distort, and generalize that information through our filters down to a manageable amount, which is 128 bits per second. We are going from 12 million to 128 bits per second. And then it will actually chunk up even further and bring it down to like 5 to 7 bits per second of the most critical information that you need to know based on your filters. Now, every single human has these filters. These categories are the same. The information held within those filters is as different as our fingerprints, because no two of us have ever had identical experiences for every minute of every day of our life. So the categories are how you move through time, space, matter, and energy, your language, your memories, your meta programs, which are the foundation of your personality, your decisions, your values and beliefs, and your attitudes. And after this information has been filtered through those, it then pops out what we call an internal representation, or the movie screen in your mind's eye. And we all have that. So just take a minute and close your eyes. And I want you to, in your mind's eye, go back to the last vacation you went on. And I want you to go to the place where you stayed. Maybe it was a family's house, maybe it was a hotel, an Airbnb, and just go into the bedroom that you slept in. And I want you to be able to see the pillows on the bed, the duvet cover, artwork on the walls, maybe where the window is in the room, the door. Raise your hand if you can all see that. Awesome. And you can open your eyes again. I asked you to take yourself on vacation because that internal representation impacts your state or how you're feeling. So hopefully you're all feeling a little bit of happiness here because you just had a really nice flood of a positive vacation memory. And that state impacts your physiology. Research shows that happier people live longer because they're less stressed, their immune systems are stronger. Your state is also driving your behavior because you run unconscious programs that were developed in young childhood, and based on how you feel is then how you behave. Now, that unconscious programming is all downloaded again in that 0 to 7 age group. I liken it to we're born like the hardware of a computer, and then over the next 0 to 7 years, we just download everything that we need in order to be able to function with our family, within our school, within society. And because the unconscious mind has such a big job, if it ain't broke, it doesn't fix it. So it finds strategies that work for you when you're a young child, and if they keep working, it keeps running them. Until at some point, it doesn't work anymore, and that's when we get stuck in adulthood, because our inner 5-year-old is trying to run our 25, 35, 45, 55-year-old life. And it doesn't work anymore. So we have to develop new strategies. And we can because we simply use the tools of NLP, timeline therapy, and hypnotherapy to be able to do that. With timeline therapy, we can go in and we can change what's stored in your filters so that your internal representation is completely different. if you were running the horror show in some aspect of your life based on that history, and remember, it's all unconscious, so you're not controlling this, you're not choosing to run it, it's running for you. We can change those filters by removing the 7 negative emotions of anger, sadness, hurt, rage, guilt, shame, fear. Removing the limiting beliefs, the root limiting beliefs of I'm not lovable, powerless, not good enough, unworthy. So that your filters, that starts to change your values and your beliefs. Starts to change some of those memories. You see it differently, so your internal representation is different. That changes your state, changes your physiology, changes your behavior. So what I love about this slide, and what really blew my mind when I first learned this, was the fact that we are literally creating our own reality every single day, because our filters are different. So our internal representation of an experience is different to the person standing right next to us. You can go to a concert with 49,999 other people, and your experience of that concert is different to every single other person there. Have you ever had where you've been at a family event and somebody starts telling a story about something that happened, I don't know, 5 years ago, and you were there and they're telling it and you're like, wait, no, that's not what happened. Have you ever done that, experienced that? Yep. And you think they've lost their memory because they're not remembering it right. And you're trying to tell it your way and they're going, you've lost your memory because you're not remembering it right. The reality is you are both remembering your own experience because you created your own reality at that event. So you're both telling your truth. And to really drive this home, I love this little story. It's 3 girls are walking in a park and a snake slithers across their path. And the first little girl runs away. And the second little girl goes, oh, somebody's going to step on you. And she leans down and she picks up the snake and she walks it over to the grass and puts it on the grass so nobody steps on it. And the third little girl goes, huh, and does nothing. So the first little girl's filters taught her to be afraid of snakes. And so she was out of there. The second little girl's filters taught her that no matter how small, slimy, or scaly something is, you still need to care for it. And the third little girl didn't have filters yet in relation to snakes, although now she does. She's just witnessed 2 very opposing reactions, and whichever one struck her more deeply emotionally is how she will respond next time. That was one experience of a snake slithering across the path. 3 different realities. And you can imagine when those girls go home and tell their parents about their day, those parents, as they hear this story, are going to imagine 3 completely different realities. And this is why, in Canada at least, the RCMP no longer allows eyewitness testimonials in court for motor vehicle accidents. Because you can have 3 different people see the same motor vehicle accident, stand up in court and tell 3 completely different stories as they tell their own reality. And the great news is we can use these tools to change that reality. And when we use the tools of the unconscious mind, this is how we create change easily and effortlessly, and how we get the results people want much more quickly. And this is how you create ease and flow in your life for you, because we always do this work for self first and then for your clients. And this work applies across all industries. The military uses it, it's used in medical, it's used in policing, it's used in sales, all industries, because we carry the power between our ears in our mind. And it's those thoughts, it's the words we say to ourselves that impact all of this. And that impacts our thoughts, are impacting our behavior, which impacts our results. And so that's why it is used across every single industry, because everybody's looking for better results. or to change their thoughts. So today, what I would love to do is to show you one of the techniques that we use that rewires the neurology to have Jenny no longer like a food that she likes too much, because we're going to map it across to a food that she doesn't like at all. So you guys up for watching this technique?
Yeah.
It's, again, very quick, very powerful. And Jenny, you're up for this? So because
Got
I
my
know
food here, so
perfect.
want to show
Because-
everybody.
Yep.
You ever tried these?
This is what we're getting rid of. So when
Yeah.
we do this work with food, we have to be very specific about it. Like a lot of people will say to me, can you just remove sugar? No, I can't. That's not ecological because we actually need sugar for glucose in our body. So I can't remove all sugar. That's how powerful this is. So we get very specific. Tell me the sugary treat that is your go-to treat, and let's remove that. So that's the Costco Brooksdie chocolate balls. And Jenny, you also have a food that you really, really dislike that no matter what is not going across into your mouth, right?
Correct. Yeah.
And that's mushrooms.
Correct.
Excellent. I would like to test, and I'm going to pin you here, how much you dislike mushrooms. So what I would like you to do just for a minute as we get started here is to just close your eyes, ground down, take a nice deep breath. And in that movie screen in your mind's eye, just want you to bring up mushrooms that you really, really hate. And as you think about those mushrooms that you really, really hate, do you have a picture?
Mm-hmm. I can
Okay.
smell them too.
Okay. I would like you to actually pick up a fork and put one of those mushrooms on the fork and show me as you bring that towards your mouth, please.
What do you mean? You want me to actually physically do it?
Yes, I do.
Okay. In my imagination, though.
Yes, but move your hand as well, as
Okay.
if you're bringing it to your mouth.
Okay.
Can you bring it closer to your mouth?
Well, it's on the end of the fork, so it is close.
And so can you open it and put it in your mouth?
I don't want to. I will for you, though, Melissa, if you want me to.
No, I want to see your reaction. So that's a good reaction. You don't want to, and you saw how her hand did not move closer, right? So that's a good sign that this is a strong enough dislike that we can map this across to rewire her neurology. Is it all right for your unconscious mind to make this change to you today and for you to be aware of it consciously?
Yep.
Excellent. So as you think about those chocolate balls that you love so much, do you have a picture of them?
Yeah.
Is it black or white or color?
It's color.
Is it near or far to you?
It's near or far. Second, I'm just going to get my door closed, okay?
Okay.
My dogs are barking.
Okay.
We have 5 dogs, so we get
Oh,
noisy.
that's
Okay.
distracting.
Okay,
I'm
so
going to
back
just
to,
ask you to ground again. We're going to start over.
Yeah,
I just want you to
sorry.
ground again.
Okay.
Awesome. And is it all right for your unconscious mind to make this change today and for you to be aware of it consciously?
Yeah.
Excellent. So as you think about those chocolate balls that you love so much, do you have a picture?
Yes.
Excellent. So is it black or white or color?
It's color.
And is it near or far?
It's near.
And is it bright or dim?
Medium.
Okay. Show me with your hand the location as to where it is.
Or
how
I
close it
imagine
is.
them in my hand and I'm feeling them because they're cool and they're a bit sticky, and all
Okay.
different sizes.
So they're in your hand, right? So front and center in your hand.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sort of
Okay.
imagining them in my hand.
And the size of the picture is life size then?
Yeah. And I can
And-
feel them. A touch is involved too now.
And can you see yourself in the picture or not? You just see your hand.
Interesting. Just on my hands.
Okay, perfect. And is it focused or defocused?
It's focused.
And is that focus changing or steady?
I don't know. You meaning that, is it moving?
No, it's just the
Is it-
focus. Is it changing or steady? Is it
It's
staying
steady.
focused?
It's steady. Yeah.
Steady. Okay. And then is it framed or panoramic?
Panoramic.
And is it a movie or still?
It's a movie.
Perfect. And are there any sounds that are important?
No.
No. And I know there are feelings that are important. So tell me about the feeling you were just talking about. You could feel them in your hand. What are you feeling?
I'm feeling partially desire to eat them, but partially like the physical feeling is like coolness. I'm amazed at the different sizes.
Mhm.
I like the bigger ones. So
Okay.
um
I want to
yeah,
focus on the desire to eat them.
the desire, the feeling.
Where
Okay.
is that feeling located in your body?
It's but right here, because
In your chest?
it's yeah, and it's like I like the movement from hand to mouth,
Mm-hmm.
the oral fixation, but also the taste and the enjoyment I get when I eat them. And then the anticipation is not just one and done. I can have
Okay.
more.
And that desire that you feel in your chest, what's the size of that?
It's sort of like
The
a
size of your
pink,
hand that you
yeah,
just
a
in your
pink and
chest?
blue cloud kind of thing. Yeah.
Okay, hand size. And what's the shape of it? Does it
It's
have a
like
shape?
like a cloud,
Cloud? Okay. And what's the intensity on a scale of 1 to 10?
about a 6.57.
Okay, perfect. Okay, I want to ask you to clear the screen. You can open your eyes
Okay.
again for a minute.
Okay.
And now we're going to move to the other.
Okay.
This time I want you to close your eyes again. And as you
Okay.
think about those mushrooms that you absolutely despise and you're not putting them in your mouth no matter what, do you have a picture?
Yep.
And is it black or white or color?
It's color.
And is it near or far?
It's a bit far because I'm seeing them cooking on the stove, so I can sort of
Okay.
smell them and see them.
And is it bright or dim?
It's bright.
And the location, I know you said you could see them on the stove. So is that kind of off to the right?
It's off, yeah, a bit that way.
Is that that's your right?
Yeah, that's my right. Yeah.
And the size of that picture.
Like I'm sort of seeing it's sort of like focus and then blurry background, but it's in the scene of the kitchen.
And the size of it, is it life size is what you're seeing?
Yeah.
Okay. And are you seeing yourself in the picture?
No.
Okay. And you said the focus is kind of changing because it's a bit blurry in the background. It's
Yeah.
focus changing.
Yeah.
And is it framed or panoramic?
Panoramic.
And is it movie or still?
Movie.
Okay. Are there any sounds that are important?
It smells, but not really sounds. No.
Okay. And are there any feelings that are important?
Just yuckiness.
Okay. And where do you feel that yuckiness?
Lower down, diaphragm, I think, level.
Okay. And what size is that yuckiness?
It's like it's almost like a bit of mud. Like it feels like muddy, so it's a size, I don't know, this big, I guess.
Like a softball or a grapefruit?
Yeah,
Or
softball would be good.
softball. Okay. And what's the intensity on a scale of 1 to 10?
7.89.
Okay. You can open your eyes and clear the screen.
Okay.
So now what we're going to do is I'm going to tell you how to create the picture based on this information that you've given me. All right.
Okay.
So I want to ask you to, again, close your eyes.
Okay.
And I want you to bring up the picture of those chocolate balls.
Okay.
You got that?
Yeah.
I want you to make it farther away. Make it bright. Make it off to the right near your stove. Make the focus changing and blurry. And I want you to make the feeling yuckiness in your diaphragm the size of a softball. Make it muddy. And I want you to make the intensity of that a 7.89. And when you have that, I want you to lock it in place, like snapping your fingers. You should lift your hands up so I can see you do it, like locking it in place, like closing Tupperware. Perfect. Now open your eyes.
Okay.
So I love that background that you have there. Is it a virtual background?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. It's beautiful though. All those lovely books. So now, Jenny, when you think about those chocolate balls, how is it different?
Yeah, they don't seem putrid, but I'm not excited about eating them.
Mm-hmm.
So like they're here and I'm kind of like, no, I could pass.
Whereas earlier when we got on the call, you were actually
I
enjoying
was
them.
eating them. I was trying to get many in before the call. So because I thought if I can't
Ashley
ever
was
eat
our
them again.
witness of you eating them.
Yeah.
And now you don't really want them. It's like take it or leave it.
Yeah, I don't really want them. I
So
don't. Yeah.
let's future pace this. Imagine a time in the future when you might be tempted to eat them.
I eat
And what
them while I'm
happens?
watching TV. So okay, let's think about that. I'm watching TV. Yeah, no, the desire isn't there. It's not because it's funny because I know this is a knee-jerk reaction when I watch TV. I a lot of times eat grapes or popcorn too because it's the movement too. It's not just the eating.
Mhm.
But yeah, it doesn't feel the same desire. Like it doesn't feel like mushrooms, but it's not desirable, if that makes sense.
It is. And so what we've done here is we've rewired your neurology, and I'm going to stop pinning you so I can see everybody else now. Rewired your neurology to create what I call a bunny trail. And we have to use that trail in order to build it into like an 8-lane highway, right? And so keep those near you today.
Okay.
And every time you look at them, just go, and notice bringing up that yuckiness from the mushrooms because that helps make that bunny trail a little bit deeper.
Okay.
Right?
So I'm continually reinforcing it then.
Yes, exactly. That's what we're
Okay.
doing. And I want next time you go to Costco, I want you to go stand in front of them at Costco, bring up that yuckiness,
Okay.
right? And as you do that over a very short amount of time, this will go from your neurology that is just a bunny trail to an 8-lane highway where you just walk right on past at Costco and you
Okay.
don't have them in your house.
I do have a bad taste in my mouth now, so it's interesting.
Yeah, bad taste of yucky mushrooms.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's just like, the aftertaste of that was good. Now it's like, yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, thank
This
you.
is the power of our mind and our ability to literally rewire our neurology in just a few minutes. What did that take? 15 minutes?
Yeah.
Not even, right? And Carrie, I know you weren't on earlier, but this isn't just used for food. This can be used to rewire behaviors of learning to love sales calls and mapping across something that you really love to do onto sales calls so you start to really love doing sales calls or follow up or whatever it is that you want. And this is just one of many, many, many tools that we have to work with our unconscious mind to be able to create change in our state. We can change your state in literally 5 to 15 seconds. You know, when you get triggered by something and you feel really irritable and maybe you're tired of feeling like that, you're like, I just don't want to feel like that anymore. I want to feel happy. I want to feel joyful. We can create an anchor for you so that in 5 to 15 seconds, that irritability goes away and you feel the way you want to feel. So these techniques of the unconscious mind are incredibly powerful and very, very fast. With timeline therapy, when we're removing the negative emotions and the limiting beliefs, what's so powerful about that is you don't have to talk about it. So we're helping people release their trauma without them having to be rehashing it and re-triggered in the rehashing of it. Because the unconscious mind already knows what happened. What we need to do is get the learnings, because everything is actually happening for us. And I know there are times when it doesn't feel like that at all. When we get through it, when we get the learnings and we look back, we can be grateful for it. We need the learnings in order to move through it. And so with timeline therapy, we release all of this negative emotion and the trauma by getting the learnings. And that allows you to move through it and forward with your life. And then the hypnotherapy, that's just where we get to give amazing suggestions to our unconscious mind of what it is that we want to achieve, the behavior that we want to change. We've released all that negative emotion, negative mental talk. We don't want to fill it up with more. We want to fill it up with goodness. And so we fill it up with these positive suggestions to the unconscious mind of what we want using hypnotherapy. And we tie it all up in a bow. So these are the tools of the unconscious mind. Using these tools is how you create a life of ease and flow for yourself, for your clients, for your family. And I simply love sharing these tools because we're not taught them anywhere else in society. And I started learning them myself, fell in love with them, and now I train others in becoming practitioners in these modalities for people that want to use these tools with their clients because I became passionate about them.
And that was timeline therapy we did?
No, that was something called mapping across. It was an NLP technique.
Okay.
Yeah, timeline therapy is a 2-hour protocol, so nothing that I can do here. However, in the practitioner training that I teach that you'll be doing in September, you actually do go through a timeline therapy breakthrough as part of that course.
Okay.
Yeah, does anybody have any questions before we wrap up the session? Any thoughts, feedback? I would love to even just go around the room and get an aha or a takeaway from each of you. Ashley, do you want to start?
Yeah, so I have a 5-year-old daughter. So it's interesting to me, you know, that you're saying that we're, because she has the biggest imagination, but saying that between, what was it, the age of 7 and 9, that kind of starts to build up. Is there any, I guess, advice you would give so that I can help her while that's still developing to leave that a little bit more open and not be so closed off and become that cement wall that you were talking about before?
Yeah, so encourage that imagination to continue being used in whatever way, shape, or form. So I recently had a lady tell me a story that she was with her granddaughter who was about 3, and they were on a farm and they were going to go talk to the horse. And the granddaughter was talking about how she could talk to the horse and she knew what the horse was thinking. And in many cases, adults will be like, no, you don't, you can't, right? However, what if she could? Allow that pathway to be open because we can actually connect in many different ways. And the more we allow those pathways to stay open, the more they can develop them. So I have an energy healer friend of mine who's a very powerful energy healer, and his father was an energy healer. And he knew my friend knew he was an energy healer when he was about 10 years old. And because his father was an energy healer, it was completely encouraged. And so he's been able to develop that skill, and he's in his 50s now. And he's incredible in what he can do to help people heal. Whereas I have other friends who innately knew they had that skill set when they were young and would try to talk to their parents about it. And their parents didn't understand it. And so they shut it down. And so they grew up thinking there was something wrong with them because they weren't allowed to talk about it. And it wasn't until they got into adulthood where they eventually found other people who had those same skill sets and found their tribe and realized that this is something that they could actually do and work with, and it's their gift that they came into this world with. And so what I would love to see is just stay open to whatever it is she's talking to you about. And even if you don't understand it, allow her to teach you. Because she has her own innate gifts that she's already come into this world with. Hypnotherapy is such a powerful tool. It's been around since the beginning of time because, again, it just uses our unconscious mind, and all humans have an unconscious mind. And since the beginning of time, it's been squashed and it's come up in popularity. It's been squashed and it's come up in popularity. And when I teach the history of hypnotherapy, it drives home to me every time that we humans, when we don't understand something, we become fearful of it. And so we try to squash it. And so I instead invite openness and curiosity and to learn. So that's a very long-winded answer, but hopefully helpful.
No, it is. And we do try to encourage her to try everything, even if it's just somewhat interesting, do it, see if she likes it. But we're at the stage now where we're not really pressing her. If she tries it and she doesn't like it, we're not pressing her to continue to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So just kind of trying to figure out what she likes and what she doesn't like. And
Yeah,
there's
and
definitely
that's what's
some
really
things that
important.
she likes more.
And teach her the learning state. And, if she's 5, she's in kindergarten or about to go to kindergarten, teach it to her and tell her your teacher might not know about this. This is how you learn best, and explain it to her. And at some point, maybe you have a talk to the teacher, because the more this information gets out, the more those teachers can help their children learn in a better state.
Yeah.
So thank you. Jenny, ahas, thoughts, feedback, questions?
I'm so in a zone. My cognitive brain, I can feel, is sort of in the back. So when you asked a question, like I don't know if I have the answer. Does that make sense?
Yeah, you're in a
Okay.
trance state.
Okay.
You go into trance quite easily, and that's all good. Because we
Okay.
just did some big work in your unconscious mind. So yeah, enjoy
Okay.
that.
Okay.
Stacy.
Yeah, I've known about, how our children, as children, all we're doing is like input, we're just taking it all in. And so we believe that that's all the truth. Like that's the way life is, what our parents are saying, whatever. And if we just knew that, like my kids are 28 and 25, like we're way past that. But I hope if I had known some of this, gosh, how powerful that could be with our children, like how much more things they could do, just like, but it would be crazy good, right?
Yes.
So I think it's fabulous. Do you work with children at all? I mean, do you share this stuff with people? I just think would make a big impact.
Absolutely. However, when we work with children, we still have to have permission from the child's unconscious mind. So
Yeah.
I had a mom once say, "Can you please make my child love broccoli?"
Oh,
And so first off, we don't ever make somebody love a food that they don't already eat. We only do food where we take away a food, because they might have a food sensitivity to it.
yeah.
And so their innate system is telling them not to eat it because they know that they have a food sensitivity to it.
Yeah.
And yes, I still have to have the child's permission.
Interesting. No, well, that totally makes sense. So anyway, just that's super powerful, and just what you did with Jenny is awesome. I've never seen that before, but that totally is very interesting. I've never seen that before. But
Yeah, and my kids are older like yours too. And so I was like, oh, I wish I knew this when they were younger. My training partner for all of the hypno and practitioner training certifications we run, her kids are younger. They're only 6 and 8, I believe. And so each night she talks to the magic part of their mind. That's what she's called, their unconscious mind. And again, she asks, would you like me to talk to the magic part of your mind tonight? And then she can, as they're falling asleep, she can just give those suggestions of, you're going to have an amazing day at school tomorrow, and you're so smart and you're so confident, and you're such a nice friend and you love everybody, and puts all of these beautiful suggestions into their unconscious mind. And the unconscious mind works on the last thing you feed it before it goes to bed all night long.
Yeah.
And so they're getting deep restorative sleep with all of these positive thoughts. And just look at the confidence that builds in our children, right? Awesome. And it starts to stop those limiting decisions and those negative programs that we're running unconsciously, because we're feeding positive ones. So yes, this is very powerful. And I truly wish all teachers came through at least the practitioner level of this training, because it would change how they work with the kids in the classroom profoundly. And in NLP, we don't believe any children have a learning disability. it's a teacher disability to connect with that child.
Very interesting. Good stuff.
Yeah.
You like,
So-
just talking about it makes you go back to your parents, you know, and how it was very different than it is today, where it was just like, you do this, this is the way you do it. And if there was a point where I asked my kids, I go, I hope that I have been open, like there's no this, like I want
Right.
you to like be expansive, do what you want to do, what makes you happy, not what you're supposed to do.
Exactly.
Oh,
And we
it's
know
tough.
so much more about the mind now, which is why we can, teach this and share this. And we didn't know timeline therapy in the 60s and 70s. We didn't even know NLP in the 60s and 70s, right? So we're always learning and growing. And the reminder is that everybody, and this is one of the presuppositions of NLP, that everybody is always doing the best they can with the resources they have.
Believe that. Absolutely. 100%.
So beautiful. Thank you for sharing. And Carrie.
First, I want to apologize for being late. Last meeting went long, then client emergency, which wasn't really an emergency, but you know how it is with clients sometimes.
They think it is.
Anyways, so from the part that I heard, it was all very interesting. This is all new to me. So I will definitely be checking out your website and trying to learn some more about what I missed. So
Well, I'm glad that you came, and it didn't matter that you were late. You picked up on most of it, and you got to see the important part, which was the demonstration on how easy it is to rewire our neurology. So I also want to share with you that I have coming up on June 29th and 30th a Learn Self-Hypnosis Masterclass. The Learn Self-Hypnosis is one day, and then the Higher Self-Hypnosis is the second day. So you can do just the one day, or you can make it a whole weekend. And the link is there. And then because you're here and part of this tribe, there's a code there. And actually, I just realized it should not have a gap. It's LSH 2024 without a gap, without a space, to get $100 off. So I promise you it'll be the most relaxing day or weekend you've ever had. You will be in trance most of the time. You will learn a lot, and you will also get to experience self-hypnosis and working with other students in the class to enjoy some hypnotherapy. So thank you all very much for coming. Jenny, I'll be in touch because I'll be checking in on you to see how you're doing with those balls. Just as we leave, how are you feeling right now about them?
Good. They're still sitting here. I'm no interest. And I'm really curious tonight to see what my reaction is in that timeline of I want something and what I'm going to want to eat. I'm curious because I don't know yet. So yeah, I'll let you know.
Yeah, do so.
Okay,
So
cool.
thank you everyone for being here. Really appreciate it. Thanks, Ashley, for running it and for putting this into the group. And if anybody has any questions or would like further information, feel free to email me. It's just melissa@yourguidedhealthjourney.com.
Thanks, Melissa. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Have a great rest of your day.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.